Thank you all for being here and listening to our stories. We are so blessed to be able to do this, and it's only by God's grace that we can stand up here and hopefully keep it together through the whole thing. Just want to tell you a little bit more about the campaign. This is our 4th year that we're doing this, and we have held over 110 gatherings throughout the country, as well as in Ireland, Canada, and this April we will be in Scotland and England and Ireland again. We are growing, and worldwide we are silent no more. Over 1,600 women have had the courage to stand up with us over the course of 110 gatherings in 44 states. Please pray for more and more women to hear this message, and men, to find the healing and to join us in being silent no more. My story is one of a common one that you'll hear here tonight. I was 16 years old when I had my abortion, and I did it because I did not want my parents to know I was sexually active. They thought I was the good girl in the family. When I drove to the clinic, I thought, this feels so wrong, but because it's legal, it must be okay. The abortion was very painful, and afterwards, as I left the clinic, I was so relieved my problem was over. I spent the night at my sister's house, and in the morning I was overcome with what I did. I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to hide it from my mother when I got home, and I decided that the only way I was going to make this work was to simply pretend that Saturday, October 4th, 1976, never happened. And I did that for almost 2 decades. I forgot about my abortion most of the time. You see, I assumed that after the abortion, I would never be able to have children again. So I believed that I had aborted my ability to have more children. So as I began to look for a husband, I looked for a man who had a family already. I figured I needed a man that didn't want any more children, but I knew a family was important. So after I married this dear man, I became a Christian, we both did, and I asked for forgiveness for my sins, but I believed my abortion was unforgivable. Now I have to just say a little aside here. My husband and I will celebrate 25 years of marriage this May. I didn't think abortion was forgivable, but I hoped if I did enough good things, I could tip God's scales in my favor. I volunteered for every ministry. I worked hard to be the perfect wife, have the perfect home, and be the perfect Christian woman. Later, my biological clock went off, and I desperately started wanting a child, but I was afraid if I had a baby, somehow or another the baby would be damaged or deformed, because that was going to be my punishment. But I took the chance, and I had a child, and she was wonderful. Her name is Rebecca, and she's 16 years old, and she's a great joy. But then I became consumed with making her life perfect and protecting her, and I was so afraid that God was going to punish me through her. And I would drive myself crazy, trying to do everything right, make everything perfect. I was one of those driven, crazy women. It was in 1995 that I finally realized I didn't just have an abortion, but I aborted my baby. I knew I had lost the opportunity to parent an awesome child who would have brought a great deal of happiness to my life and would have been a great blessing throughout this world. It was then that I finally began to grieve for my child, and I finally began the healing process. A friend told me about after-abortion care, and I didn't know what it really was, and I didn't think I wanted to go through with it because it sounded scary and hard. But I did, and it was the greatest thing I ever did because I finally understood God's love is unconditional for every sin. There isn't a sin that is not forgivable. I also learned my baby was in heaven and that one day we would be reunited. Then a few years later, as I shared my story at the church, and afterwards, I began to realize there were a lot of us. It was through that process that I understood that as women, we needed to be silent no more, and our voice needed to be added to the debate in this issue. We need to look at abortion from a woman's perspective and understand that there are two victims. Our babies die, and a part of us die right along with them. So that is why we started this campaign. It is such an honor to be with these women, and they are my heroes. I love them all, and I am so grateful for their courage to come out. They have come from all over the country, as well as Scotland, to come and be with us today and to share their stories.